let's talk about forcing, because I've spent years forcing things that I had no business forcing. And spoiler alert, it never created the outcome that I wanted. So human design was the first thing that helped me understand why forcing never works and why it doesn't work for a lot of us. We try to push ourselves into timing, decisions, relationships, or even careers that our energy was just never meant for. Hi, I'm Courtney Jones from Unshakable Worth, and welcome to this video on why forcing doesn't work and what flow actually looks like. This is a short video that's grounded, no BS, and absolutely relatable. So thank you for being here and welcome. So a lot of us hear this language around forcing and flow, and some of us are like, okay, but what does that actually mean? I know that was me when I was first awakening and starting my journey. I was like, okay, these words sound amazing, but what do they mean? Like, what do they feel like in the body? And I want to just give you a few key words around forcing and flow just to help guide you in the right direction. It's one of those things that it does take a little bit of trial and error of working out what those signals feel like in your own body. It's that journey of self-discovery, and it is beautiful, but it's not necessarily something someone else can tell you about because of your unique blueprint. So forcing, it's like pushing yourself to do something even when your body is feeling like it is just trying to like pull you away from it. When your body closes and tightens and you start to overthink, and that's when you start to override the signals of your body. When things feel tight, when things feel like they're just not right, that's when forcing happens. Now, flow. Flow is, I can let my shoulders down. I'm a little bit relaxed. I'm moving with my energy. My energy naturally opens, and so does my body. I don't feel contracted. I don't feel closed up. I feel open. I feel a sense of ease in my body, and I feel like there is a clarity. Like I just know that this is right. And it's when things fit without pressure. I'm not trying to make this happen. This feels right. Like right now, talking to you, this feels good in my body. Like I love doing this. I love being able to share this stuff and talk about it. And this is what lights me up, and my body is open, and this is my energy flowing. Like flow, it's not effortless, but it's kind of aligned. And like another signal for me is my hands. I use my hands. And if I'm not using my hands, or if I'm like gripping them or like, playing with them or rubbing, that's usually a sign to, oh, hold on, check in with yourself here. And it's something I think, I don't know, there's this idea that flow is just like all candles and calm, but it's just this feeling like, oh, this actually fits. Like your body just unclenches and you're not fighting your design anymore. You're living by your design, by your blueprint. There's a really easy exercise that you can do to tune into this, even just on, a mini level. And that is, just getting yourself sitting in a comfortable spot, fairly neutral, nothing too stimulating, and just say the word no in your body. No. Now, when I do that, when I say no, it's like my energy, I can feel it like, it's like my chi channel, like it just goes zoom, like it goes zoom, stop, like it just drops. No. And I can feel my shoulders kind of like ever so slightly. It's really subtle, but they kind of like clench a little bit or tighten, and I can feel that resistance, I would say, in my body. Now, the other thing is tuning into what a yes feels like. So sitting in the same thing and just saying, yes, yes, yes. Like, I can't keep the smile off my face. My energy literally rises from my stomach up through the middle of me. And it's like, it's a tingly kind of feeling. It feels nice. It feels kind of like, yeah, it's like uplifting, like the energy is lifting up and I'm opening. So it might feel a little bit different for you, but that's an exercise that you can try right now to tune into that inner voice. So when we talk about this in terms of human design, those with a sacral authority, forcing and flow will feel very different. Now, I pretty much just showed you guys because I'm a sacral being, I'm a sacral authority, and it very much comes from, like, I keep touching my belly and referring to this energy that's coming into it or out of it. And it's like this contraction of energy into my sacral, or rather this like big open, like, yes, kind of feeling. So obviously, you know, that forcing, your gut can feel really flat, can tighten up. Or the other thing is it can feel like heavy. And with a sacral authority, when you're in flow, it just like, it's warm, it's open, it's alive, you know? And, you know, I've had to learn this quite a few times, but the thing is, starting small with that yes or no, and you'll get to know it. Now, with an emotional authority, forcing will come from, like, it'll depend on your emotional wave, like where you're at, whether you're in your high or in your low or somewhere in the middle. Now, remembering that emotional authorities, their best decision making comes from when they're in that neutral place, like somewhere in the middle, you know? And forcing comes from knowing that you're in a high, feeling super excited, feeling like you're on top of the world, and like, oh, it doesn't matter, I don't need to wait, I can just make this decision now. Like, that's the type of force. And also, like, I feel really flat, I'm really depressed at the moment, I'm going through some like stressful stuff and I'm pretty low. Oh no, I don't want that opportunity. I'm going to say no to that because I just feel like crap, you know? And, you know, you move through those emotions and you come out the other side and you're like, damn it, like that would have been the perfect opportunity. That would have led to this, this, and this. But you forced it instead of waiting until you moved through your emotions, instead of giving yourself a beat, giving yourself 5 minutes even to sit with it and let the answer come to you. And that's what flow is. It's giving yourself that space. And, you know, massive decisions, we do want to give ourselves a bit of time, like those big decisions in our lives where, like I said, we're moving, or, you know, we're starting a different job or entering a new relationship, those sorts of things. We would like to be able to take some space. Even a couple of days would be amazing. But, you know, like everyday life, you're not going to wait a couple of days to decide whether you want a smoothie or eggs and bacon for breakfast. You know, like those are decisions that need to be made quicker. And so even just giving yourself 5 minutes, if you really don't know, you know, if you're like, oh, like I'm not sure where this is at, give yourself 5 minutes and that will help. Now, with your splenic authority, the forcing, it can come from a number of different areas because the splenic authority is such a subtle, gentle, quiet voice. Even though it's immediate and instant and it's like bang on, it's a lot easier to override because it is a bit quieter. So if you have a lot of mental chatter or really intense emotions, they can sway where you could possibly be overriding that. So what I would say is splenic authority, forcing is when you know there's a red flag, and when your body flags something and contracts and feels like that heavy sort of feeling like, oh, hang on a minute, something just doesn't feel right. I just don't think we should go this way. I just don't think we should do that. And you're not like trying to rationalize it. I mean, that's the flow state, I suppose, but like forcing it would be, you would use logic to rationalize, like, oh, actually, no, I have to do this because of this, and this. Or, you know, oh, this is right because I feel good. I've got the energy for this. I can do that. When really your body is trying to tell you no, you know? So yeah, flow state of a splenic authority would be just trusting that first initial instinct and responding to life and events and opportunities from that place rather than from your mind or, you know, some other way of kind of like overthinking or rationalizing it. Logic does not have a place with splenic authority. And it takes a little bit to get to know that. So be gentle with yourself as you're learning that one. And with the self-projected or talk it out authority, forcing, it's all in the voice. It's all in the tone of the voice. Like if your voice feels like tight and restrained, or like you just start talking about it and you drop and you sound really dull or strained or unsure, like, oh, I just am, you know, I'm thinking about doing this thing, and like you can see in my face and hear in my voice that it doesn't sound like someone who is confident or clear about where they're going. But when someone with a self-projected or talk it out authority is in flow, their voice gets fuller. It's clearer, more confident. Like if I had a talk it out authority right now and, you know, I was talking about, I don't know, a new job, like, you know, on one hand, I'd be, you know, yeah, this job, like it ticks all the boxes and makes sense. Like it'd be good for this, and this. But this job, oh my God, like they have this and they showed me around here and I really loved that, you know, there's this part where it just made me feel so valued and seen, and like they really heard me. Like you can hear the difference and understand the different tone. Like the second one, I sounded more alive. I sounded more full. And even though with my mind, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is clear, that this is the option, or I am confident. It's not a thinking process. It's something that comes through you and moves through you. And this is why, you know, advice, like just trust yourself, can be so confusing because no one tells you which part of yourself to trust. We're all so different. And, you know, someone with a sacral authority might, you know, try to be like, oh, just trust your gut, just trust yourself. And it's like, but where does that come from? Does it come from waiting a few minutes? Does it come from that, you know, split second instinct that comes through immediately? Or does it come through like this contraction or expansion of the body? And so this is where human design and learning your unique authority can help you navigate that self-trust and learn to deepen it and really step into it and own it. Because when you trust yourself and when you know what that inner voice is saying and where to listen to it, like which part of the body it's coming from, it gets stronger and stronger. And that's so powerful. Okay, I'm going to share some personal stories here. And I just want to say I am going to talk about my stillborn baby boy. So if at this point you hear that and you feel like that this would be too triggering for you, too activating, my daughter running into things by accident. And yeah, I just want to let you know that so that you can make the choice for yourself if it's right to continue watching this or if you need to take a break. So when I was thinking about a real life moment that I forced something, even though my whole body was screaming no, I was immediately taken back to the days leading up to and the day I found out that my first baby, my first pregnancy, that there was no heartbeat. And the reason I feel like this is what is coming through is it was such a profound moment in my life that, changed directions, basically. Like it was a fate or a destiny moment in a way, that I had to learn, that difference. And I'm not saying that, I had to go through this process. I had to lose my baby. Like he was, not able to survive so that I could do this, but this is the situation that we are in. And I wouldn't be who I am, and I wouldn't have these gifts, and I wouldn't be having this conversation with you if I didn't go through that experience. So I remember it was a Monday. This is back in 2018, early October. And yeah, it was a Monday night, and I remember feeling like massive movement in my belly. I remember feeling like this massive, what's the word? It was kind of like this huge flutter of movement from inside. Like it was like flailing or something. And it didn't really feel right. Okay. Something, and back then I was obviously a very, very different version of me. Like this is 7 years ago, and I was not as in tune with my body as I am now, and would easily override or ignore myself. And even though it didn't quite feel right, I didn't want to go to the hospital. I didn't want to worry anyone. I didn't want to go there and it just be nothing. I didn't want to use up their time. I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. And so I went to bed, and I got up the next morning, got ready for work. And this version of me was quite an uptight version, quite an anxious version. And yeah, she was going through a lot. Anyway, I went to work that day, and I was a dental nurse at the time. And throughout the morning, I was like, something doesn't feel right. And I was pushing on my belly, trying to get my baby to respond to the movement. I don't think I said I was 32 weeks. And so, I had quite a big belly, and, they take up quite a lot of space. You push on a spot, they usually kick back. And that's what I was looking for that morning. So this was the Tuesday morning, and he wasn't kicking back. And I was like, this is not right. But I kept going. I was like, I don't want, my boss to get upset with me for leaving work early or anything like that, which, obviously now sounds really ridiculous. But at the time, I was, how old was I? Yeah, 23. And I had no idea about any of this. I had no idea about, that inner authority or that inner voice that was like, it was basically screaming at me, but I was forcing through because I felt like I had to do something. I had a job to do, and that was my obligation, not the baby, or not, like this thing that I was worried about, the fear that something wasn't right, or just even that inner knowing, that inner voice that was saying like, you need to get this checked out, or you need to do something about this. I was overriding it. I forced past it hard. But eventually, by the time I got to the end of that day, I think it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was like, okay, no, I have to listen to this. It was getting so loud, and I was still getting no movement, that I was like, I have to say something, and I have to use my big girl voice here and listen to what's coming from inside. So, I said something to my boss, and, one thing led to another. We ended up at the hospital where they, did the ultrasound and were able to tell us that my baby didn't have a heartbeat anymore. And, this is a pretty extreme example. I just want to say that, and I'm not skipping past just how devastating and traumatic this experience was, because it shook my life in ways that you can't even imagine. And I miss him. I miss him all the time. And, you know, there are moments that pop in that say, like, you know, as I even tell this story, it's like there were moments where I could have listened to that inner voice earlier. And for a long time, I carried this belief, I carried this thought that, like, actually, it's only something that I cleared yesterday. I was in a conversation, I was in a coaching session with my own mentor, and what we discovered, and after peeling back some layers, you know, we revealed this pattern and this belief that I had, that when I, you know, do actually listen to that inner voice, someone dies. Like, that's what happened in that moment. Is, you know, I did eventually listen to myself, but, you know, my baby had passed away. And, you know, this wasn't the only time that this happened. Like, years before, so it was 16 years yesterday, my middle brother, my younger brother, he passed away. And there was a situation where, like, you know, I spoke up, but it was like, I sort of like didn't push it, and I forced through it with like logic, or like there's a grown up here who knows better than me, or something like that. And even though I did say something, you know, he ended up passing away that day too. So, like, that was the story that I had, and there'll be a different story for each and every one of us. So that there is conditioning for all of us when it comes to our authority, and, you know, where we force through something and for what reason, what unique belief is causing that to play out. So, like with my son, my whole body was screaming, something's not right. And I eventually did listen, only because it got so loud. But that's one moment where I think back about, you know, when I force through something, and there's nothing to say that me noticing any earlier would have saved him. It could have, but, you know, that's something that I'll never know. And, you know, I've done a lot of work. I've gone deep, and I've dived very deep into the healing process, and found my peace within that. But now that's a lesson that I carry with me forever now. Forcing through that feeling was profound and very powerful for the trajectory of the rest of my life, and up until this point. So, on a lighter note, a moment where I did listen to the voice and I found that flow, there was a moment, like, it really surprised me. And, like, the moment that I think of when I think about that undeniable voice from within, like, I knew about human design. I was starting to experiment with it and learn about it. And, you know, when my partner came back into my life, because we were together, we broke up, got back together. The second time we got back together, it was just this inner knowing, like, things just clicked into place, like, things just felt right. And it's not without challenge. Like, remember what I said, flow isn't effortless, and it's not completely easy. It just feels more open, warm, alive, and aligned, right? And this was a choice, and this was a moment that felt really aligned. And, you know, even like this baby that has come as a result of that, like, it's this, oh, this feels right, this feels right, this feels right. And, you know, our relationship is better than ever. And so like feeling that flow, the relationship is able to grow and evolve and develop deeper. Like there's no contraction of the body. There's no red flags or something that says, oh, is he really right? Now, my mind has done that, but that's come from up here, and that's not from my inner voice. That's the ego. That's something else. But like, remember, I'm a sacral authority. My body doesn't tighten around him or at the thought of having a future together. And that's where the flow comes in with this relationship. And I am absolutely grateful for that in so many ways. But it really did surprise me, to be honest. I'm learning these lessons and deepening that self-trust all the time. Like, I've done a lot of work, and like my inner voice is so powerful and so strong. But even, 6 months ago, there was less awareness, and, I was moving through different things. But it really did surprise me that, when I did listen to that inner voice, and I did listen to how right it felt and how open and alive I felt in that relationship, that it was better than I expected. It was, or is, this beautiful relationship that we share. And that feeling, that inner voice, it was right. So, this is one of those things where being in relationship, being in family, so with your partner, with your children, with your parents, depending on how, close and how your family dynamic is set up, with my partner, when it comes to making decisions and big decisions together, we have different authorities. He's an emotional authority. I'm a sacral. So I, get that feeling in the moment. It's not as quick and as subtle and as immediate as the splenic authority, but it's in the moment. I don't need time to think about it. It's a feeling. And, say we want to move, or say we want to get a new car, or something like that, whatever joint decisions, couples make together. Like, just think of an example for you. And, my authority is saying one thing, his authority is saying another thing. And, this is something where conversation and communication really play a part. I think it's different for every unique combination, and I'm not here to tell you like which one to go with. It takes discussion, and it takes going through some deeper layers. But I know in the past when it's something that we've come up against, and trying to navigate that, the conversation has come through. And then sometimes it's my authority that we end up going with, and sometimes it's his. And then there's sometimes these really beautiful moments where they both align. We both feel right about something. And it's like, great, okay, we go for that. And then when it comes to parenting, it's this dance between guiding your children in the right direction, keeping them safe and healthy, but also giving them autonomy and, empowering them to make their own decisions. It's this beautiful balance that you find, but knowing your child's authority, you can guide them when, it's appropriate. Like I'm always asking my daughter, yes or no questions, or this or that, because she's a sacral authority. And that, if the question's too vague or there's too many options, the sacral doesn't know what to respond to. It doesn't know what's a yes and what's a no. So you've got to narrow it down to at least 2 options. And, I'll do that all the time with her food. Do you want a carrot or a cucumber? And then she'll choose one. When she's getting dressed in the morning, like for school, because why is it every morning when we do the same thing, it's this struggle, like, what is that? But anyway, something that I find that helps a little bit is, do you want to wear a dress or do you want to wear shorts? And giving her those options is really helpful, because I know what her authority is and I know how her body best makes decisions. So I'm not telling her, oh, you need to do it like this. I'm giving her real life scenarios where I am presenting the options and showing her like, this is the best way for you to make decisions, kind of thing. It's really good in that way because I actually have the same authority as her. So everything that I learn, I can pass on to her. I can guide her through. But, you know, even if you don't have the same authority as your children, there's that understanding piece that you are different and having that compassion, like they're going to have their own way of moving through things and working things out and understanding what is right for them. And it's going to be different to you. They might not know in the moment. They might need 5 minutes to think about it. They might need to sit down with you and talk about it for a little bit. But it's our job as parents to guide them so that when they become adults and when they become part of the community and serve the community around them, that, you know, they are set up the best that we could possibly give them. We're setting them up to go through the world knowing who they are, being able to listen to that inner voice, not to be, swayed by everyone else's opinions. And we're not looking for perfection here. We're just looking for precision. You know, giving them the tools and the guidance to be precise about where to listen to their inner voice, where is it coming from, and what to look out for. Don't take this too far. I want to say that. I want to say, don't worry about the future. Don't, if there's moments coming up for you right now where you're like, oh shit, like I have slipped up there, or I dropped the ball there, or like, oh my God, I've been like pushing my child to be something different to who they really are. It's okay. And I want to say, this is an experiment and this is something that we learn, and kids are really adaptable, and it's okay, and it's never too late to change. It's never too late to grow. The priority in this is you. Okay? The priority is you. Learn your authority first. Dive deep into your inner wisdom. What are the cues? What are the signals that your body gives you for your unique energy? That's where the power is. That's where you need to start. You can get to that other stuff later. It's never about forcing ever again. It's about recognizing it sooner and stepping back into alignment and choosing differently sooner. Like every time you recognize it and you become aware of it and you choose differently, the measurement for success, the measurement for getting somewhere with this, going forward with this, getting better with this is, am I getting quicker at it? Overall, not each and every time, overall. Like, am I recognizing this? Am I choosing differently? And it's not about doing it perfectly. We're not looking for you to recognize it and then repair, or, to know how to do all of it really well. Like it's a learning process, and you will get better at it just by doing it. And even just by being here and being in this conversation and making it this far, we're already up-leveling you. You're already upgrading your awareness. Like, what you need to understand is even just stepping into this container without trying it yourself yet, you are already upgrading your system, leading with more self-trust already just by being here. This is the power of this work. This is how amazing it is. Like, energy can shift just through a conversation, and then you go and to put it into practice and watch the magic unfold, So, like I said, it's not about never ever forcing again. It's about catching yourself sooner. And It's not about shaming ourselves for when we get it wrong or when we let it go too far or anything like that. So an additional piece of advice I would say is self-forgiveness. And like, let it go. Like, you mess up. Okay, I messed up. I'll try again next time, you know? But yeah, forgive yourself easily, okay? You're here. You're doing this work. You're not a monster. So the key takeaways, what I want you to take away from this video today is flow feels like clarity. Flow feels open. It feels alive. It feels like a yes. Forcing feels like friction or tension or overthinking or trying to work something out or logic. Forcing can often come from the mind or just ignoring the tightness in your body. Your body always knows, and this is where the blueprint, this is where your unique human design lives. It's in your body. You know, it always takes a little bit longer for the mind to catch up, and that's okay. If you want to learn how to stop forcing and start trusting your energy more, listening to your real energy, then you can book a clarity call by clicking the link in the bio, or you can send me a message about my one-to-one program called Harmonize. Or if you're craving that community feeling and wanting to grow alongside other women in this work, my group coaching container, Trust Your Inner Voice, is the right one for you. So those 2 programs are open now. You can either send me a message or click the link in my bio. And if you haven't yet, you can check out the first 2 videos in this series. They'll help you understand your inner cues and open up a different dialogue for that self-trust and just take you a little bit deeper. Please hit subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.